do you know? Eating beef starves off cancer, scientists discover. I was actually very excited to share this article with y'all until I read through it all the way to the end, and it actually highlighted a much bigger issue that I definitely want to discuss.
Notice how she was excited to share it until she actually read it. I suspect she saw the headline, thought it supported her bias, and when she realized that it didn't completely support that bias, she took issue with it. Super scientific.
So for this study, they fed mice transvasinic acid, or TVA, which is a fatty acid only found in red meat and dairy products. And what they found was that TVA significantly reduced the likelihood of tumor growth and colon cancer cells, which is amazing.
There are a number of issues with drawing these conclusions from the study itself. For one, we aren't rodents, and research conducted on rodents rarely translate to the same results in humans. Second, they were studying an isolated compound that is found in red meat, not red meat as a whole. Not to equate red meat and cigarettes, but this would be like conducting a study on acetic acid, finding that acetic acid can improve blood sugar levels, and then concluding that smoking improves blood sugar because acetic acid is found in cigarette smoke. You need to take the full package into account and weigh the risks and benefits.
But then I scrolled to the bottom of the article where they clarified that the authors don't believe eating excessive red meat is the solution, and added a quote from a professor who said that because of all the evidence regarding the detrimental health effects of red meat and dairy, this study shouldn't be used as an excuse to eat more cheeseburgers and pizza. Obviously, cheeseburgers and pizzas aren't good for us, and yes, I do believe those foods cause cancer, but what happens when we remove the pizza crust? What happens when we remove the burger bun from the beef patty with cheese? You're gonna get a completely different health outcome.
We actually do have research that separates red meat in the form of burgers and lasagnas from red meat as a main dish like a steak, and the results are about the same when it comes to cardiovascular disease risk. In both cases, red meat appears to increase risk. We also have a recent study including over 100,000 health professionals that found that replacing just 3% of one's calories from red meat protein with refined grains and potatoes could actually lower cardiovascular risk. That's not to say that refined grains are a super healthy food, but if anything, it's the meat that makes the grains look bad, not the other way around. And as far as I'm aware, we don't have research that separates red meat as a steak from red meat in the form of, say, a burger when it comes to cancer risk, like we do for cardiovascular disease risk, but the IARC did review studies that took diet quality into account when classifying processed meat and unprocessed red meat as Class 1 and Class 2A carcinogens, respectively. And recent research on bread consumption suggests that white bread is relatively neutral for cancer risk, while whole wheat bread may actually lower risk. So don't blame the bun for what the beef did.